Demonizing children is wrong. We have to keep them safe as they're young. Sometimes they make silly decisions. They do. And so we have to make sure that we are investing to make sure that young people know that they are supported. And we also have to make sure that police officers who put their lives on the line have the resources that they need to keep.
Does anyone remember that? Brandon Johnson, when he got elected mayor of Chicago, telling people that demonizing children, meaning the teenagers that run wild in the streets, that's wrong, and they have to be protected too. But what Brandon Johnson failed to realize, and what he fails to realize today, that he nor his police department can control the demonized children, so he calls them.
Following this here at 4:30, another teen takeover last night, this time in Bronzeville.
Hundreds of teenagers converged at a gas station at 31st and Michigan, looting the store and breaking windows.
Residents describing the tumultuous scene last night at 31st and Michigan.
There was a whole bunch of kids out here, and they was all in the gas station. They were causing a mess.
I know as teenagers we made mistakes, but we have never done anything like this.
Hundreds of young people, according to witnesses, migrating from a lakefront gathering to 31st and Michigan.
Throwing trash everywhere.
The crowd blocking traffic and in a few instances even climbing up on startled motorists' hoods before windows were broken out at this nearby BP gas station. These photographs showing the aftermath of what witnesses say was dangerous looting and destruction.
So that's just another example of what's happening in Chicago since Lori Lightfoot left office and Brandon Johnson took over. Nothing is happening in Chicago but the same old thing. Crime, out of control people, lawlessness, and the police are not allowed to do their job because, God forbid, a politician supports them. Even though he says he does not. Police should be able to arrest any and all persons who are doing destruction and causing problems like that. Even if you have to arrest 100 of them, 200 of them, you do it because it sends a message. Stop this nonsense or you're going to go to jail. That's the bottom line. These woke political leaders have no clue what people really need. He's just there because I want to be the mayor. I want to see what I can do to turn Chicago around, and he's going to do nothing because he's another let's give everybody everything for free. And he actually believes that he's going to be okay. He actually believes that these kids are just making silly mistakes and it's not going to continue. Well, I got news for you, Brandon Johnson. It's going to continue all summer long, half of the winter, and then the following year, and the following year, and the following year, as long as you're in office doing zero to combat the crime and violence that's plaguing Chicago for years now. These progressives, liberals, I don't know what we're even calling them anymore, but he is just another example of a failure. He's a failure of a politician so soon into his office because the streets are on fire, out of control. The Chicago police got a phone call last week, okay? Shots fired. The police responded to the call and they were attacked by a group of the demonized children. Now, I, for one, don't see any demonized children in that group. I see a lot of adults and young adults, but those are the people that Brandon Johnson speaks of. We can't demonize them because they just need to know that we care. We're going to make it better for them. This weak on crime policy that mayors have in large cities today does nothing but create more problems. You arrest these people, a liberal prosecutor lets them out with little or no bail, and they go right back into the street and do what they do best, and that's commit crimes. Why do politicians allow this? Why do they think it's okay that people have to live in fear? They know their social programs aren't going to work. You can spend $1 billion on social programs. Kids don't care. This is what they live for. And it's not all of them. It's not all of them, but it's a lot, especially in Chicago. They are coming into cities, into towns, in packs, hundreds at a time, to destroy property, jumping on cars, breaking windows, starting fights, looting stores. How is that okay to any politician, even if you're the most hardcore liberal there is? That behavior cannot be tolerated. But Brandon Johnson just doesn't care. He'll claim that he wants his police to be safe. He wants them out on the street to stop crime. But they're responding to calls, especially for a shots fired call, and they're getting attacked by a group of people with 2x4s in their hand. And that's acceptable? No, it's not acceptable. And this is going to continue until people open their eyes and see that these Democrats, no matter what plan they say they have in place, they need to be removed from office or not win office at all. Okay? They do not, I don't know how many times I have to say this, and you've heard this so many other places, I'm sure. The Democratic Party of today cares not about the constituents and the citizens in their cities, towns, or states. They care about themselves and what's in it for me. I'm going to run for office, and if I get elected, I'm just going to be the same old person. I'm not going to change anything. I'm going to preach a good game, but I'm going to do nothing. And people are going to love me. Our society today is, I don't even have a good word for it other than out of control. You saw that one lady say when she was a kid they did stupid things, but nothing to the level of destruction, stealing, looting, breaking windows, damage. Nothing like that. That's not how I was brought up. That's not how those residents that were spoken to were brought up. So where are these kids coming from? Where are their parents? What is going on? And why are they allowed to do it? I always like to say, when kids get in trouble, it starts at home. Whether it's a single parent or two parents, it starts at home, where you learn manners, respect for others, respect the law. But apparently, in Chicago, that's not how it is. Maybe the parents have just given up because they know the politicians have given up on them. These kids have nothing to do, nowhere to go, no jobs, because the city is not making any jobs for these kids. They want to make programs or social clubs or activities to keep them off the streets. Now, how about giving them jobs? How about stop the crime so businesses come back to Chicago? And maybe some of these young people will go get a job. They're not going to do it. They won't do it, and they're going to keep losing businesses because of the activities that are taking place in these streets. You cannot for 1 second blame the police because their hands are tied as well. Lori Lightfoot did it, and I'm pretty sure Brandon Johnson's doing it. Just make them go away, but don't put handcuffs on anybody. Don't arrest anybody, because that's demonizing the children. This needs to stop, and I always say this too, that this all starts from the top, and right now the top is actually the bottom in Washington, D.C. Bad policies from the federal government flow down to cities, towns, and states, and the Democratic so-called leaders put in place the same bad policies, and this is what you get. You get chaos, mayhem, and destruction, and residents who've lived there for years and years and years just want it to stop. But the person that's supposed to stop it, or at least try to, doesn't care. All they want to do is make a good speech and then let it continue to happen. And it's never going to stop until these fools are not allowed to take any office. I don't care if it's council, school board, representative, local senator. They do not belong in office because they do not care. The Democratic Party of now do as we say, not as we do. And that's the problem. And that's it. If you haven't liked this video, hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and hit the notification bell. Share this video with someone. I'd appreciate that. I hope your town is safe, and I hope you're healthy, and I'll see you real soon. Have a great night.